roundabout because we got people who aren't on site that have to hit a certain spot in the agenda, which is the national presidential candidate. So we're going to start there, and then we'll swoop back into the other part of the agenda, just to let you know. All right? For those of you who don't know us, I'm Barry Bender. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Green Party of New Jersey. Craig Cayetano, three, but we only have two right now. During the day, if you have not voted and you need to vote in the presidential primary, you should have gotten an email yesterday morning around 6 a.m. and a reminder around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you have 50, so we're going to do our green. If you're a green 13 person, and you're here in the audience, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, you're not a candidate. We got 9 of 11. So we'll go if we don't get more here. And actually, Herb's on Zoom, so he can.
Herb's on Zoom, Robin's on Zoom.
And Robin's on Zoom. Okay, so we have. Oh, we have everybody. We have everybody. We have everybody. Those of you who are here, if you haven't stopped at the back table, there's bagels and there's coffee. Help yourselves to bagels and coffee back there. About 3 minutes, we're going to start with the introduction of the national presidential candidates. Coming up. I don't want to go ahead in time in case there's somebody. Do we have everybody on?
Presidential candidates, we have Nissan, which represents Davi.
Right.
We've got Randy Toller. We've got Jasmine and Jasmine's team.
Right.
And I don't know if, I have George also. George Vala's here.
Okay.
And I don't know who is from Jill's team.
Okay. All right, we'll get started. And I'm going to go have them present themselves in the order that they are on the.
I was going to do it the other way, right?
Yeah. What's that?
Go back.
Yeah. Do it that
We're
way.
going to do the opposite way.
Okay. All right. Is Robert Cook is not on?
Robert Cook is not on.
Okay.
And we're only going to, obviously, this one is popping. Madeline, all right, Madeline.
Madeline's on.
Yeah. We are live streaming on the Ocean County.
Go ahead.
All right, so everybody, we're live streaming on the Facebook page, the Ocean County page. So if you have Facebook, you're able to go and like that stream, copy, paste, share it out. That's our live stream right now. We're also recording this, so it'll be uploaded at another time on YouTube. And basically, Barry and I have had the pleasure of serving as co-chairs now, 2 extended terms, it feels like?
Actually, two years and an extended one.
Yes, there you go. So I put out basically how the peak goal was to get this slate of candidates. That was our objective. We were trying to pull it together 2 years ago, and obviously we couldn't. But this cycle, that was the goal.
Yeah, well, the challenge, the gauntlet was thrown, and we picked up the gauntlet and took it, and we've run with it. It's one more, and we got the 13.
Yeah, it just proves that we're basically, everybody is tired of the same old politics, especially in a state like New Jersey. This is the state where we should be able to break through. It should be New Jersey, California, those states that have the most amount of registered Greens out there that can break through and actually win a race. So that's why we're so proud to have the slate of candidates that are here in person, that are here on Zoom, and there's hopefully one more that will commit and step up.
We're waiting for that commitment.
Yeah, I didn't get to put out the formal announcement, but we had a vetting the other night, and we welcomed Herb Tarbus. Herb is on the call here too. He'll speak a little later. But yeah, Herb has been a long-time advocate for electoral reform in New Jersey. He's challenged Pallone before. And Pallone has been kind of recognized as the environmental Democrat, but his stuff is pushing out. It's weak, it's diluted. It's 2050. We need a real Green New Deal now that we can act now that's going to get the transformation and change we need by 2030 or 2035. But 2050, if you're 18 years old, you're going to be my age, 44, by the time that year hits. So let that sink in. That that's what you're getting with your typical mainstream Democratic process. So you need to embrace the Green 13. You need to embrace candidates like Herb, Bo, Ben, Andrew, John, Robin, Steve, Barry, Lily, everybody that's here, and Tom. Christina, who's on our board, you need to have the commitment and courage to know that you're putting your faith and vote, that they're standing up for the issues that we all deserve today, not in 2050.
There you go.
So I'm going to go just hand this to Barry. I'm going to log in here, and then we're going to start just opening this up for the presidential candidates. So let me
Yeah, I
see
didn't know
if
that they were going to be supplying. I see that helps out an awful lot.
Um,
Yes.
What is the live again?
Yeah, where's the page?
Where's the live stream?
Oh, the live. Where's the live?
Ocean County Green Party.
In from Facebook?
Yeah, Ocean
Yeah,
County
Facebook.
Green
We got
Party.
mics.
Like that and share that
I
for us.
got it.
Okay, thank
Although
you.
I'm gonna need stands.
Okay, so we're going to go.
Oh, okay, good.
So there are presidential candidates that didn't go through the full process of the PCSC. We still wanted to give them an opportunity to speak to our body of membership. Over the last few months, we've had other representatives like Randy Toller. We've had
He's
Davi.
been on. Jasmine's been
Jasmine obviously was one of the recognized candidates. George is one of the recognized candidates that have participated in the process. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to address everybody, to have a fair shot at this presidential race, because the whole point about this is to bring new energy, new blood, new people into the party, bring the ideas forward. We are working class, we're fighting for the working class, so we want to have as an objective and fair process as possible. So we wanted to make sure that we invited them here to speak. We also included them on our electronic ballot. So we had to start this during the last cycle, during COVID, where we voted through a third-party software. We gave you the opportunity to cast your vote, and now we have it as a ranked choice election. So any of the registered Greens that we had reach out to us and ping us, that had emails, that have been interacting with the party, and sharing information and stuff and registering, they received the ballot. There was also ability to do it as a dues-paying member. So basically, New Jersey, we acknowledge as a whole sector of people that are not going to be politically affiliated, because the problem is you have a lot of state employees, you have a lot of municipal employees, county employees that want to be involved, but they can't be tied to a party because it can blow back on their career and their job. So we need to recognize those people. We allow you to be a dues-paying member, participate in the party, elect leadership, run for leadership, obviously cast votes when it comes to this situation like a presidential candidate. So that's why we're one of those states that allow this. I've advocated for this for years to national, and I'm hoping some of the state parties will see this and realize the importance of embracing a dues-paying model, in addition to just being registered. So I'm going to open this up. We're going to move to the presidential candidates first. I do see Randy and Nissan on behalf of Davi. I want you guys to get ready. If I can have actually Randy go on first, and I'm going to see if I can pin your video. Let's see if I can do it. Randy, you're on. You're featured. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, of course. So yeah, please, introduce yourself to the people that might not be aware, and tell us why you're running for president this cycle.
I appreciate the opportunity to go with my video today. So you're looking at an old Facebook page from about 10 years ago. I hope you don't have an earthquake there in New Jersey today. Our state trees, the earthquake capital of the United States today. My name is Randy Toller. I'm co-founder of the Green Party of the United States and was the first to register Greens with the Federal Election Commission. Currently, I am co-chair of the Green Party Board, and I am running for President of the United States. 2024 for the Greens nomination. It is a long, winding road to the White House. I'm a founder of Green and supported White House leadership. I am up in America. So what are the issues driving the U.S.-based politics 2024? I also wanted to add that I'm very proud of the 13 that are running in New Jersey. I think that is a shining example for the rest of the country. I know you put a lot of work into that, and I'm hopeful that I will be supportive. Some of you might not be familiar with my Twitter pages, but they do have 99% followers from the mass media. So I will be retweeting all of your campaigns on Twitter, and I want to be supportive of that. So let's talk a little bit about issues here. One issue that stands out are the coastal elites to the Democratic Party supporting the Israeli government. $27 billion going to Israel on the backs of the middle class, and leaders need to be behind bars in Israel for this time. Hollywood, Wall Street, West Coast, New York, mass media, and all support the government of Israel. We need to step in as Greens to be able to counteract. And of course, that's going on in the Middle East, finishing us closer to total nuclear exchange. And it could destroy a thin layer of life around the Earth in an instant. So we just need to be vigilant to the times we're in the moment. I would propose an international alliance of national green parties in power in Washington UN for war crimes by people. I think this is particularly important. If you go to the International Green Party page on the Twitter account, you'll see the number of Greens around the world trying to organize this, and I think this is very important to do. One thing that I do stand out from the other candidates on would be, I believe that the United States, if I were elected president, should have a naval blockade of Israel without mining the harbor states. And I think we need a more muscular foreign policy. And the economy inflation's on everywhere, especially here in Florida, where the hurricanes have caused rent increases like you can't imagine. So that's very important. The U.S. banking system discriminates against the U.S. themselves, and not for business. And coastal elites control the economy, inflation is devouring the middle class like a great white shark. In the 1990s, I coined a term called ecologism. Ecologism is economics and alternative capitalism and socialism, and that is the future, my friends. In my view, that's what people will be talking about 10 years from now. And I say, and this has been my campaign slogan, let's put the green back in the Green Party. And I think you, New Jersey, the Garden State, are doing that very precisely with your candidates running for office. You're going to catch a lot of attention. Sure, the Democratic Party is working very hard over time to keep you off the ballot. And the environment is center stage with global warming on the way. This plan sets the Greens apart from the Democratic Party. I say create jobs without pollution and without new taxes on the middle class. Decentralization, self-determination, and self-sufficiency with the anti-nuclear running to what? I can't stress that enough. I know one candidate actually allocates nuclear power. That is just not what Greens in the United States are about. And I'm sure those control reactors in New Jersey are watching that, the seismic activity there. So I think it's really important to keep the focus on eliminating nuclear power. So I have run for office in Florida. In particular, I should probably explain that since this is what I'm most recently run for office. In the United States' 7th largest school district, okay, $7 billion budget. My wife also, and we have a disabled child. I'd like to focus on that one. So we did get 1 out of every 5 votes, and my opponents, believe it or not, for the city or for a school board race spent $120,000. We were also attended to do that twice. I ran for office in California. In particular, for Congress, in the district, Orange County, and San Diego County, about 20% of the vote. And in Illinois, spent a lot of time there. My first child was born there. In Aurora, which is Illinois' less second largest city. So I really, actually, one of the original founders of the Illinois Green Party, as well as co-founder in California. I actually enjoyed my campaign today. And my account, as I mentioned before, on Twitter is @Ryan402. And let's focus also on Twitter. I think that's really important. And finally, we need to address a post-capitalist future. I'd like to hear from the other candidates their vision. And I really appreciate you taking the time to hear me today. And once again, I'm proud of New Jersey Green Party. You guys are blazing the trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Son and Davi, if you're here, if you can unmute. Hey, Davi.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome back.
Awesome. Get everyone together in America together. We're growing stronger for the better. Living America together. Greetings to you, to the Green Party of New Jersey. We made it. We made it to the presentation of a core solution for our society, with no more room for complaints, new conversations for new results in our nation and in our world. Greetings to my fellow humans of our great nation, America. I am Nabi, artist, tech founder, 2021 candidate for mayor of New York City, and the avatar of Earth. In New York City, 2020, I vowed to ensure the sacred protection, harmony, and natural evolution of humanity and Earth. I'm running to earn your vote in 2024 as the President of America and leader of the free world, seeking the Green Party's nomination. My areas of focus include rehabilitation and recycling, providing healing-oriented support for those ailing in body, mind, and/or behavior, finding harmony and balance between usage and contributions to Earth. The American Refresh, a 4-year transition where through paced collective voting, Americans vote for the exact government we want moving forward, intentionally managing the growth of technology. The mediator wing of the police, an emergency mediator wing of the police that on demand mediates tough situations and conversations without guns, batons, or slow court dates. The red and blue, election after election, have proven to the American voter their commitment to war and disaster and their missing commitment to the core principles of humanity and the preservation of Earth. But that's just a choice. We can make another. I'm here to present another way, another choice of vision called Earth Order. I'm going to explain the core points, and if you believe this would be better for the humans of America, we are live, so you can agree by saying indeed. And I'm here, don't worry, when I point to you, okay? So, Earth Order is a new choice that offers direct democracy, an online voting system that allows us to ongoingly vote for the exact government that we want moving forward. A new choice that provides equal salaries for chosen work. A new choice where all have access to quality housing through a housing exchange. A new choice that covers all healthcare costs. So I heard at least 4 indeeds. I think that means that you should support when you have what you have agreed is better for the nations of America, for the nation of America, for the humans of America. The thing that you want for our American society, regardless of which candidate is presenting you. I encourage you to read or listen to the full campaign plan at vadavi.com, también en español. With the assumption of the Green Party nominee in most of the previous national polls that are already done, the Green Party loses dramatically. We have to act strategically to change that. There has to be a greater view than just ballot access and running on principle. What will inspire Americans is focus on the bigger problem, a bigger problem that they didn't notice before that can easily unite us. That problem is that we are allowing minority rule. Artificial rules that say an unelected group called the Electoral College is allowed to choose the president. Behaviors exhibited within the 2024 primary by many of the other states of the Green Party, such as California and Texas, favoring one candidate and blocking myself and other presidential candidates from participating in forums like these, blocking our campaigns from being responded to by the Presidential Support Committee in order to be an officially recognized candidate, from being on the ballot. This is just all a microcosm, a mimic of what's happening with the Electoral College. Private councils choosing leadership rather than the people. We, the people, need something to aspire to. We, the people, are looking for something new. The Davi for President campaign is preparing to breathe life and excitement into the 2024 national election tomorrow. During Oregon Green Party's convention, I will be sharing something called the Declaration of American Human Governance. I will go into it if we have more time today, but to give you a preview, there is no precedent available in the Constitution to address when the government goes rogue, as admitted by the multiple current and former members of Congress. This declaration states that American government must respect Americans as humans first, before any other rules, corporations, or so-called artificial intelligence. to declare American human government over our American government, taking action to ensure the accurate reflection of the American people's will in American government. We have to deal with the root of our American problem, which is that American humans are out of control of the government because of artificial law that allows 578 electors, instead of the popular vote, to choose president. While our power may not be in the current electoral system, we always retain the power to switch from artificial to natural law, where one human has one vote. We have the power now, with a comprehensive analysis from the right leader. I am that leader. I believe that the Green Party should be at the front of advancing this conversation for democracy. David, as your 2024 Green Party presidential nominee, offers a fully comprehensive plan for an American ideal development moving forward, for equality and democracy, regardless of today's hot topics. With a brighter American ideal on the table, we can clear the way for a brighter nation and brighter relationships with nations of our world. See the brighter future so we can get to it. Green Party of New Jersey, you can lead the way. I ask you to use your vote today to send a message to the National Green Party, a message that says we have got to update and modernize our conversation for a stronger America. A message that says to the National Party, we can't expect America to offer us democracy if we don't offer it to ourselves. A message that says we are awake and we support equality and democracy, the first time it's available in modern history. We vote David for president. Vote David. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Doug. The next wave of candidates, George, Jasmine, and if somebody from Jill's team is here to get ready, I'm actually just going to quickly acknowledge Robert Cook did file through the FEC to run for president. He put up a website and a link. I tried to find an email address for him, so I used the email address in his FEC filings and sent out a request and not notice of obviously the attending of the convention. We did not receive anything back from Robert Cook, but we did share Robert Cook's website, the information that we had access to on the GPNJ website for everybody else. All right, so let's move along here, and let me see. I know George was here, so let me see where George is. Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll up. Remember, I'm an Apple guy, so I'm not used to these PCs anymore.
They said here in this room that the Apple computers sometimes don't pick up. That's why we're going all PC.
Okay. George, welcome to Green Party, New Jersey. I'm glad you're able to get logged in. I know it was a little weird. We had some wonky Zoom errors too, issues earlier. But yeah, welcome to Green Party.
No, thank you very much for having me be here. There's a lot to talk about. Recovery. Let's see. First of all, I want to introduce my website. It's votejz.org. And my email address is jz.
You just have a thing that you really put your knees on.
If everybody else can
And there's not
hear
like a hard piece of a box or anything.
Oh, I thought we had them in there.
If Diane can mute.
You can mute everybody, right, Frank?
Mute. I can, I just said, I'm trying to, if Diane, if you can, thank you.
Did I miss something? That the bezel?
There we go. All right. Sorry about that, George. You may continue.
Oh, okay, thank you. My goal here today is to put a fire in your guys' heart, to energize and give you the proper energy to develop your soul and focus direction and internal direction. What our main goal is for the Green Party is to gather people together to get proper inclusion, transparency, and hopefully come with some sort of accountability. So, if you go to my website, the votejz.org, there's a lot of petitions, there's a lot of agendas that I'd like people to participate in. Without the people's participation, our change and way forward of life is not going to happen. It's not just my responsibility or the candidate's responsibility, but it's more of the people. So I'm here to try to bring power of democracy back into the Commonwealth hands. You make the choice, you make the decisions. There's a pivoting point of ethics, and I want to share some intelligence with you so people understand where I'm coming from right now. You see, we have liberty, but we don't have freedom. The fear is so powerful in the United States that people, they don't want to vote, they don't want to share their expression. You ask somebody, who are you voting for? They're afraid to tell you. That type of fear is not American. So we really got to take down deep and stop becoming a victim. And we're really emotional beings. But this emotional state is causing everybody to embrace fear. So this is what I'm trying to give you the power to motivate in the right direction. Is that I want to stand with integrity and a valid position to drive people forward. What I learned from a federal judge that got Clinton on is this main point: that you're an undocked vessel trespassing in the harbor. If you open your mouth without being docked, you're babbling and you're creating perjury against yourself. The only way to be docked is with an attorney, and you must pay the toll. You don't have authority or value, and that's what the people are realizing today. I'm encouraging people to become more paralegals, and we need more attorneys. Not fighting for money, but fighting for our civil rights. Breaking this illusion of the Democrats and Republicans. They have their own agendas, they have their own focal points, their goals. They will never come to a resolution, as we can see now, causing everything else to fail. Also, what we have to do is break the patents. The patents have non-contest agreements from the oil car companies telling me that there's engines that don't exist, technologies that's not there. For instance, remember we were back in the 80s, every calculator had a little solar panel on it. What happened to that? So, little technologies like that are being patented and shut down. So we become more dependent. There's an engine in 1918 that Henry Ford made that's almost perpetual. It reheats the exhaust from the carbon monoxide to ethyl oxide. It's a recombustible fuel. But they don't want you to know about that. That engine's here in Fresno, California, by a gentleman named Dennis McCauley. He had it for his factory. They told him if he continued with his working engine, they would keep him tied up in the courts. Again, giving him fear and threatening his willingness and authority to pursue. So we have to be smart. As far as nuclear power, we're just boiling water.
3 minutes, George.
That ignition facility that is available now here in California, Japan, and in China. It shoots high-powered lasers on a piece of hydrogen deuterium, cause a fusion reaction called cold fusion. They're producing about 5 megajoules, and the outcome is about 6.5 megajoules. 50,000 watts of power in the state of California per hour. But again, it's still boiling water. There's lots of better ways of boiling water. We have free sunlight that can come into your home with fiber optics and no electricity. The water vortex implosion system will help people's health, help the crops grow, and have a better tomorrow. So I encourage you to look at the websites. Is that there's a difference of choice that you do have, but it's not given to you because of the monopolization, capitalization of the Congress that's installed. Of course, they're paid off and buy off by professional bribery, as we know as lobbyists. So again here, my job is to give you the energy, the strength, and develop the future, the way of tomorrow. So it's your power, it's your choice. Make the right decision. But sign the petitions either way so we can all come together.
Thank you, George. Jasmine? And if anybody's on Jill's team to be on deck. Hold on, hey Jack, can we get you pinned here? Yes.
I understand your pain,
He's gonna get you
I'm
up on the
not
screen.
Can you might help me? I squeeze it off screen. Oh, just finish that.
You gotta get in the corner.
I know, I was trying. That's fine. Yeah, but the pin button now is hidden. So why can't I control silver?
Should be something that allows you to make it big. No. Yeah, see that.
And then go back. Did that fix it?
Here, we got it.
There we go.
That's all right, I see you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Everyone in New Jersey, those of you that are friends, brave citizens, I'm Jasmine Sherman, and though I may not walk your streets daily, I stand here today united in the spirit and purpose with each of you. We are at a historic crossroads, a moment that demands courage, conviction, and a fierce dedication to justice. It's time for us to rise, to seize this moment with both hands, and to drive forward the change that is greatly needed, desperately needed in this nation. You, the people of New Jersey, are known for your tenacity and your diversity and your unyielding commitment to community. It is with these values in mind that I have shaped a platform designed to uplift every American, starting with guaranteed housing, no rent and no mortgage. How can we, the wealthiest country in the world, tolerate any of our citizens facing the uncertainty of homelessness? We must and we will ensure that every person has a place to call home in the Sherman administration. We see that we are having a housing crisis like we have never seen before. Greedy landlords, corporate owners. We have to start advocating for the people. Citizens in America cannot wait for us to be building a legacy. They need action today. Universal health care is not merely a policy. It is a fundamental human right. No one should have to live in these borders and choose between getting well and going bankrupt. Whether you live in the heart of Newark or on the peaceful side of Sussex County, your health should be a priority, safeguarded by your country, your community. We still have a very big issue with our healthcare in this country. We have a mental health crisis. We have a physical health crisis. We also have a lack of doctors and nurses. We are going to have a health crisis. We are not currently working to replace professionals that we have lost due to the pandemic, due to overworking from our leadership. We have to elect individuals that are going to find ways to help us come up with how we repair this shortfall. Education is a key facet to how we provide universal health care for all residents, not just New Jersey. Education is the cornerstone of our future, and it should be a right, not a privilege. Free education from pre-K through college is not just a campaign promise, it's a moral imperative. We will open every door of every opportunity for our children and not let the fitness of wallets define their futures. I mentioned a few moments ago about how we have a shortage in our healthcare with professionals. Free education will allow us to make sure that our aging population has doctors and nurses that are able to meet their needs. Having respite care will make sure that there is relief for people who have had children, people who have children, and people who have dependents that are older than children. And we must boldly embrace the concept of universal basic income. In a world with immense wealth and advancing technology, no American should lie awake at night wondering if they can afford to eat, live, dream, or thrive. We are better than that. We are stronger than that. And as we see our country continue to advance towards the future, we know that technology is replacing individuals in the workforce, but you will still need to eat. We know that Social Security does not pay out enough. We know that Social Security hurts younger people. It is time for us to end America's practice of American imperialism. No more wars in foreign lands based on agendas that do not serve our people or our values. We must lead with diplomacy and rebuild our global relationships on the foundation of respect and mutual belief. Today I call on you not just to vote for me, but to join me in this crusade for our shared future. This is not just about one election. It's about transforming our society into one that reflects the best of who we are and everything we can become. New Jersey, I know your strength, I know your heart, and today I ask you to lend me your voices. Vote for courage, vote for integrity, vote for tomorrow's youth. Vote for Jasmine Sherman, and together we will not just imagine a better future, we will build it. I want to thank all of you for letting me stand together, and I ask you to continue fighting this fight. Let's win, and let's vote for change. Vote for a new dawn. Vote Jasmine Sherman. He's so amazing.
Do we have someone from Jill's team here on the Zoom stream?
If not, I'm willing to take Jill's team's turn and go again.
All right. I don't see anybody logging in from Jill's team, so hang on one second. Let me just go here.
People are tired of politicians, tired of living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, locked in student debt and medical debt, child poverty, diseases of despair, growing hopelessness. The political system is broken. The two Wall Street parties I'm Jill Stein, and I'm running for president to offer that choice for the people outside of the failed two-party system. We'll put solutions to the crises we face, crushing inequality, endless war, and climate collapse. And we'll put these front and center in this election and on the ballot across the country. The ruling parties that got us into this mess aren't getting us out. Both parties are squandering trillions on the endless war machine, fueling conflict around the world, while tens of millions here at home lack food, housing, healthcare. Democrats have betrayed their promises for working people, youth, and the climate again and again, while Republicans don't even make such promises in the first place. And both parties democracy, expanding censorship, criminalizing protest, throwing competitors off the ballot, suppressing debate, rigging their primaries. So forget the pundits and the attack dogs who tell you to ignore your misery and just keep voting for those who caused it in the first place. Change won't come from the ruling elites. It comes from we the people. And when we stand together, we can create living wage jobs for all Americans. We can guarantee an economic bill of rights with the right to a job, to health care, to housing, to food, education, and more. We can abolish student debt, medical debt. We can create a Green New Deal with millions of jobs and protect Mother Earth, and we can ensure our constitutional rights and freedoms and justice for all. We can end the endless wars and rampant militarism and use diplomacy and international law instead to end violence, occupation, and apartheid. We do have the power, and we can use it in this election to start building America and a world that works for all of us. Go to Jill2024.com.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you say that? It was muffled, the audio was muffled.
That's okay. The live stream picked it up, so everybody out in the world did catch that. All right.
I hope so, I hope so.
Definitely have. Yeah, I know. There's no way to get the audio to the Zoomers from that video, but
Well, we didn't see the video either.
the world saw the video in the other feed, so we're good. Let me get back to the.
Okay, then.
Cool. Okay, so now we're going back to. Yeah, so basically we set up the electronic ballot. Everybody has received their ballot. You have till 3 p.m. on the dot to cast it. There'll be another reminder sent out shortly to your email address that you received your ballot if you haven't cast your vote yet. And it is a ranked choice vote. Oh, keynote speaker. All right, yeah. Steve. Would you, we're going to welcome Steve Welser up in a minute. I'm just trying to get the stream back to this.
That's right, Steve. I'm going to give him a mic. Steve's getting the mic.
We're going to pin back the other live stream.
Excuse me, I have a question. Are we going to be answering any questions or debating? Or is that just an intro?
No, this is just an intro. That was a.
Maya? You're up.
Steve, you're up. Hold on, you're up there.
Where's Ben?
Ben is right there.
Okay.
Let me try to go to. Yeah.
Now, should I talk to this one?
Nope, right here.
You want to put him as the center?
This is where the stream is. That's where everybody in the world sings. And actually right here. So right here is perfect.
So I should talk into this. So look, you guys on Zoom, if you want your party favors, you gotta come here in person. Everybody here, party favor is a green horizon, okay? And feel free to take one over on the table there at any point. We also have some really interesting memorabilia from our 30 years of GPNJ work and to look at. So the current issue of Green Horizon celebrates the 50th anniversary of the first Green campaign for office. And this is a little known fact. What's now the Green Party of England was founded in 1973, though early on it was called the Ecology Party. In 1974, so that's 50 years ago, they drafted Edward Goldsmith, he was the editor of the Ecologist magazine, to run for the parliamentary seat that his father had held 60 years before that as a member of the Conservative Party. So in 1974, a new kind of politics was launched. His nickname was Teddy, so Teddy Goldsmith decided that he needed a gimmick to get noticed for the first Green campaign. He seized on the issue of soil erosion from the oil-intensive farming that was being practiced in his area, and he campaigned all around his district accompanied by a camel with a sign saying, "No deserts in Suffolk County, vote Goldsmith." See, this was England. Things have come a long way in 50 years, and to where the voters of 2024 will be hearing no deserts in Salem County, vote Canavo, right? The Greens are petitioning for candidates in hopes of helping to foster a political breakthrough this year in our country, emulating the Green Party breakthroughs that have been taking place worldwide for decades. In fits and starts, the green politics movement has been growing, even here in the belly of the beast. After all, we see so much about green regenerative farming, green building, green practices in regard to energy production, materials recycling, community revitalization. Ever since Rachel Carson published Silent Spring in 1962, there has been more and more resonance for the idea of going green, and it's just logical that more and more people have been starting worldwide to vote green. There's now a Green Politics International called the Global Greens, member parties of which sit in parliaments in dozens of countries and have been part of governing coalitions in over 20 countries. Just last week, if you follow this kind of thing internationally, just last week, the Green Party of Scotland raised a ruckus in that country when they criticized their coalition partner after the Prime Minister started to backtrack from the climate amelioration goals that the Greens had demanded in order to participate in the government, and the government collapsed. What we're aware of here in the so-called democracies, of them all, the United States is the hardest place for an alternative party to make a real impact. It's really quite a slog. Our state party got founded in 1997, and this will be the first year that we're going to be able to run a full slate for Congress. The domination of the duopoly in this country makes our work hard and sometimes frustrating. Yet the work is especially important because social change in the global hegemon would benefit people all over the world. It's 50 years since that first campaign and 40 years since the founding conference where, in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1984, Howie Hawkins, John Resenbrink, Charlene Spretnak, and others founded the U.S. Green Committees of Correspondence. After that meeting, green locals were formed all around the country, including in New Jersey, towards doing the foundational organizing upon which a party could be built. After that meeting, green locals got formed all around the country, including in New Jersey, towards doing the foundational organizing upon which a party could be built. It was the 1996 Ralph Nader for President campaign and the 1997 Madeline Hoffman for Governor campaigns that generated the critical mass of supporters that enabled the establishment of GPNJ almost 30 years ago. It's a tribute to our hard work and the resonance of our ideas that since then we've managed to endure, where many other small third-party initiatives have come and gone, and we've been enduring within this very difficult terrain of third-party politics in this country. Green Horizon has chronicled the ups and downs of the movement in our state and nationally. Production of the magazine was sustained for 20 years because you probably all have heard my co-editor, John Resenbrink, over the years talk at one or another Green convention, but John, as you know, died 2 years ago. And the funding has been kind of drying up for Green Horizon. So next year, I'm going to transition into helping produce a new national periodical working with Howie Hawkins and others. An aspiration would be to do for the Green Politics movement what Jacobin magazine has done for the Democratic Socialist movement over the last 10 years. It's been outstanding. I don't know how many of you read Jacobin, but I read it all the time online. And we're fortunate today to have one of the most prominent columnists of Jacobin as our keynote speaker. Ben Burgess is an adjunct philosophy professor at Rutgers and also the host of the YouTube podcast, Give Them an Argument. But many of us have primarily been influenced by his articles in Jacobin, which are often relevant to our Green Party work. For example, a couple of weeks ago, his article was titled, Democratic Party Voters Are Furious About U.S. Support for Israel, where he discussed the uncommitted vote movement. Last week, his article was, Pro-Palestine protesters are on the right side of history. And this week, his article is titled, Freedom Under Capitalism Isn't All It's Cracked Up to Be, in which he critiques libertarianism, our ideological rival in the third party activist space. So I'm pleased to present our friend and movement comrade, Ben Burgess.
Thanks, Steve. Let's pop this up a little bit. Let's do this. I'm just letting this go. A little more space. Perfect. Thank you. All right, this works. First things first, I want to thank you guys for the kind invitation to come speak to you, and Steve in particular for setting this up. I got the sense in my correspondence with him that part of what caught his attention was a couple of things that I've written for Jacobin about the upcoming election. In particular, a couple of articles where I hammered home the point that as little as I may want Donald Trump to return to the White House, if Joe Biden loses the election this November because crucial constituencies he needs to win are disgusted with the atrocities in Gaza, then the single person who deserves the most blame for that outcome is Joe Biden. It's the job of politicians to appeal to voters, and all of these liberal pundits raging at voters because they refuse to overlook the mountain of corpses in Gaza made me think of Bertolt Brecht's poem, Die Lösung. He wrote it after the defeat of the general strike and uprising in East Berlin in 1953. We had the Stalinist ruling party put up posters around the city saying that to earn back the trust of the party, people would have to work twice as hard. Would it not be simpler, Brecht asks at the end of the poem, for the government to simply dissolve the people and elect another? But of course, I don't need to tell any of you that it's Biden's fault if he chooses Benjamin Netanyahu over his own base and loses a winnable election. A Green Party meeting is probably the single audience that least needs to hear that. And I don't want to spend my time with you telling you things that you already know. Nor do I think it's particularly useful, to spend it exploring any agreements or disagreements that I may have with you all on questions of electoral strategy. I suspect that just about everybody in this room spends more time than I do thinking about electoral strategy. And again, I simply don't want to waste your time. Instead, if you'll indulge me, I want to invite you, comrades, to think with me about a slightly different question. Not a question about means, but a question about ends. Because when we talk about Biden's involvement in proxy wars in the Middle East or Eastern Europe, or the grotesque crackdown he's supporting on students who are taking a stand against genocide on college campuses, I just did a teach-in in Princeton yesterday, and I'm genuinely furious to see the way that these students are being smeared. Or when we talk about the urgent need for action on climate change, or when we have any number of similar conversations, what we're really talking about is opposing each new horrible thing when it happens. And of course, those things do need to be opposed, no question. But I worry that we can't build the kind of forces we need to oppose them. And when I say we here, I'm talking about the big lefty we. Everyone from comrades like you guys who are pursuing electoral efforts outside of the two-party system, to comrades in the DSA who are pursuing a different electoral strategy, to
the people in those encampments and in other efforts that have very little to do with electoral politics one way or the other, all of us. I worry that we won't be able to build up the kinds of cadres we need to get this job done in the long term if we're only reacting to the worst of what's going on right now. If we're just in this kind of eternal defensive posture. I worry about the effects of burnout and demoralization if we're endlessly playing whack-a-mole with each fresh war and we're not driven by a vision of the world that we actually want. If you think back to the best things that happened in the 20th century, like the labor movement that gave so many people I grew up with around in Michigan a chance at a decent life, or the civil rights movement that ended the moral abomination of de jure racial apartheid in the Jim Crow states, or the peace movement that helped end the war in Vietnam. A lot of the people who fought the hardest in the trenches of those movements were socialists and communists who held in their heads a vision of the world that would be totally different than the one we live in right now. That's what kept them going. Mainstream narratives tend to erase them from this history, but these comrades made up a huge part of the background, of the backbone of those movements. And in many cases, when you actually interrogate the specific vision that they held, they thought that societies like the Soviet Union or Mao's China represented a viable and desirable alternative to the inequities of the status quo, which was a tragic mistake. We can acknowledge that it was a tragic mistake without portraying those societies that I just mentioned as black and white stories of pure monstrosity. We can don't have to represent them as being like Narnia before Aslan, always winter and never Christmas. And we can acknowledge that there were complex societies that did some things right, and that the free market shock therapy that was applied to many of them starting in the 90s was a giant step backwards. But if we're talking about models of the future that we can get people excited about, that we can potentially one day win a majority of the population supporting, we obviously need to do better than to point to the deeply flawed experiments that happened in the 20th century. So here's the question. What do we want? What exactly do we want? Let's say that you could just ask a magical genie to make Bernie Sanders president, or Jill Stein president, or one of those people that we just watched in the Zoom. Noam Chomsky, take your pick. Replace the 535 members of the House and Senate with, 535 leftists of your choice. Replace the 9 members of the Supreme Court with 9 of the comrades in this room. If you're imagining that scenario, while you're at it, throw in workers' organizations and people's organizations, the grassroots of society that would be powerful enough to beat back the inevitable attempt by wealthy vested interests to block this government I'm describing from doing what it wanted. If you just help yourself to all of that, what would you actually want that government to do? And before I lay out, my own tentative answers to that question and then invite you comrades to think about it with me in the Q&A, I want to say a word about why I think it's an important question for us to think about, because it might just seem like a silly waste of time. I'm certainly under zero illusions that the situation I've described is likely to come up in the near future. But I think we need an answer because first, I very badly want to believe that there's a better long-term future waiting for us if we can figure out how to implement it. I desperately need to believe that. And second, I think without some kind of vision like that to animate the most dedicated cadres for our movements going forward, I don't believe that we'll be able to achieve reforms on the scale of our predecessors who successfully fought to do things like create collective bargaining and end segregation, never mind creating an entirely new kind of society. History is often very surprising to those who live through it, and I'm sure if we're lucky enough to get to that better society, it won't turn out exactly the way we might predict from the vantage point of 2024, but even so, we need to have some kind of vision of where we want to go to sustain the journey. So again, President Chomsky and 9 of the people in this room in the Supreme Court, whoever you like filling those 535 House and Senate seats, where does that get us? What do we do? Some of it's obvious. do Medicare for all to end the obscenity of our for-profit healthcare system. We stopped shipping 2,000-pound bombs to Israel to drop on children in refugee camps. But then what? Because presumably we don't just want to end those particular horrors and turn America into like a version of Canada with a more dovish foreign policy. Because a more dovish Canada is a fine thing to be. It'd be a nice step from where we are now. But please don't tell me that's the big long-term dream that's supposed to sustain us going forward. Right now, two basic things are true, and they'll be true even if we all had health care, and even if we ended some of the current wars. And I want to emphasize them just to help us to dream bigger. One is that we live under capitalism, which is a way of saying that some people own their own businesses, but the overwhelming majority of human beings who are directly involved in the economy have very little autonomy during the hours of the day that they spend making their living. And downstream of that basic inequity in ownership, relations, and economic power, there's an absolutely grotesquely unequal distribution of resources. Some people sleep under bridges and highway overpasses, and some people have private planes, and some people take private space flights, and most people worry about how they'll handle a $700 emergency. That's obscene. The other thing is that the United States is the reigning imperial hegemon in a global system of domination that takes economic and diplomatic forms, but at its core is the American global projection of military force that no one else can rival. That's a kind of system too, a global system of wildly unequal power that generates abominations like the decades-long wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, like the drone war, like what's going on in Gaza right now, as most of the world looks on in impotent horror. I'm pointing to these two basic facts about our fundamental economic structure and our fundamental global geopolitical structure to encourage everyone here to think about what it would even look like for those two things not to be true. The late analytical Marxist sociologist Eric Olin Wright wrote a book everyone should read called Envisioning Real Utopias, and he says there that we need to ask three questions about our vision of a better society. First, we need a vision that's desirable. That is, if we could figure out how it could be implemented, it would at least be better than what we have right now. It's a low bar, but that's where we start. Second, we need that vision to be viable, meaning that we know how to implement it without recreating the empty grocery store shelves of East Germany or just collapsing back into what we already have right now. Finally, it needs to be achievable, meaning that there's a realistic scenario in which we can win over a democratic majority of the population to our ideas and actually achieve it. So, to start to think about this analytically, an example of a proposal for social change that might be desirable and in some way, viable, but probably wouldn't be would be trying to target racially disparate patterns of poverty with sort of ancestry-based schemes for reparations for slavery. It's very difficult to see how we win over the overwhelming majority of the population that you would need to enact a major distribution of wealth if the major distribution of wealth didn't actually benefit the majority of the population, whereas it's much easier to see how you could win over that overwhelming majority to universalistic ideas about economic distribution, which would help everybody, although of course disproportionately they would help descendants of slaves because of those very disproportionate patterns of the distribution of power. So I want to hear your ideas about this stuff in the Q&A, but first I'll just briefly put my own cards on the table. On foreign policy, on that second question that I was pointing to earlier, beyond winding down the current wars, I think we need to think much harder about how to build kind of multinational institutions that could conceivably be powerful enough to constrain the actions of even the most powerful countries like Russia or China, but of course most of all, the United States. I want to negotiate the de-escalation of Ukraine, for example, because I think that's the least possible, least awful outcome that I could imagine under present circumstances. But ultimately, I would like a global system where somebody like Putin would worry that if he initiated a war without justification, that he would end up being hauled before the International Criminal Court in The Hague. And I would want a global system where an American president would worry that if they did something like invade Iraq or send 2,000-pound bombs to Israel to drop on refugee camps, that they would end up sharing that jail cell. Now, right now we can barely even imagine what functional global institutions that had teeth like that would or could even look like. It's so far from where we are right now. Never mind the steps that would take us from here to there. I do know, for example, that a good baby step in that direction would be repealing the absurd law on the books right now in the United States that commits us to engage in military action, not making this up, to rescue any American military officers who find themselves on trial before the International Criminal Court. That sounds made up, but it's not. The Hague Act, but it's officially called the American Service Members Protection Act. It was passed in 2002. On the economic front, what we think very hard about is what Alex Nove called feasible socialism. What that means is some form of socialism that would do away with all the worst things about the capitalist status quo. Not all of them, I'm sure, no system does away with all of them, but a whole bunch of them, I would hope. But would it generate the kind of economic dysfunctionality on the other end that would breed so much discontent that either capitalism would be restored the way it ultimately was in the USSR, or you would need some sort of severe political authoritarianism to stop that from happening, which the Soviet experience shows is just a stopgap anyway. If half of our reason for hating capitalism is that democracy stops at the gates of the workplace, then we need an economically viable vision of socialism so that it can be an expansion of democracy, not a contraction of it. I think my friend Bhaskar Sankara has some plausible things to say about that. In the first chapter of his book, The Socialist Manifesto, it's called The Day in the Life of a Socialist Citizen. I think the philosopher David Schweikart had some plausible things to say about in his books, After Capitalism. The bad news, if you read these thinkers, is that we probably don't know yet how to do without markets entirely. Maybe one day AI will advance the point that we can have, fully automated luxury communism. But I don't want to have to wait for that to start envisioning a post-capitalist future. I want a vision that we could, at least in principle, implement tomorrow, even if God only knows when we get there in the real world. So I think we probably do need market mechanisms in some parts of the economy for the foreseeable future, but for sure we know we can centrally plan sectors like healthcare and education outside of that, because the experience of actually existing social democracy around the world is pretty definitive on that. Canada exists. You can drive up and verify for yourself. And I think thinkers like Sankara and Schweikart have ideas that are worth exploring about how if we need market mechanisms in some parts of the economy, at least the firms in those parts of the economy could be internally democratic worker-owned firms. And instead of private investment, the funds for new firms could come from state-owned banks. And I know that once you start talking about firm structure and how investment capital is seeded, this can start to feel very dry, very unexciting. But it shouldn't. Honestly, this stuff excites me because it's a vision that I can just about imagine actually happening. I can just about imagine a timeline where we actually do eventually get there. Achieve it in a process that sure might have to include moments of dramatic rupture, general strikes, factory occupations, things like that. But I can imagine actually electing left-wing politicians and having them do things that start to get us in that direction. Think, for example, about Jeremy Corbyn's proposal several years ago that at firms that are about to relocate out of the country or go out of business, the workers themselves be given right of first refusal to buy up the firm with government-seeded funds. That's something that I think if you explain it to most normies, they say, oh yeah, that sounds good, right? People who are about to get laid off have a chance at keeping their jobs and, seeing if they can run the place themselves. And again, at least points in the direction of that better economy that I'm talking about. And ultimately, I guess the stuff excites me because these are the kind of ideas, this and the foreign policy ones we're talking about, that at least give me some kind of glimpse of what something qualitatively better than the current American system and the current global system might look like. And I think we desperately need a vision like that if we're going to sustain ourselves in the current game of whack-a-mole and not burn out as we see horror upon horror pile up all around us. And with that, I'd like to hear from you guys.
On all these subjects, but these are like questions, and Jasmine and Dabby and me are here to debate and answer and have the solutions to this speech that you're giving. What I spoke earlier, as I understand, is an introduction, and there's a lot more to be said by all of us to fulfill the hearts and empower these people to move forward. You gotta have equality, more inclusion, transparency. Questions to us, me, Jasmine, and Devin, that we need it.
I don't think I heard a question there. I do think I see one in three-dimensional space here, so.
Yeah, I guess we should.
Can I do like Donna Peter walk around with the microphone?
Steve,
Ben, I don't know if you're aware, now the Green Party.
Steve, come on front. Come on front. Yeah.
All right, okay.
We want to see you. You're running for Congress, too.
That's X marks the spot. So, the Green Party, I'm not sure you're aware that the Green Party has formally adopted eco-socialism in its platform. I mean, the National Party in the United States stands for a form of socialism that they freeze it as eco-socialism. Now, and what you described is right on the button. I mean, if you go and read the national program, you're going to find that what you described is there. The corollary to that is an idea that there's a resonance to the green idea. I think that we see historically all over the world right now. During the 19th century, you had the gradual growth of the socialist movement. During the later 20th and now the 21st century, you're having the growth worldwide of green has a certain resonance. So when you phrase it as eco-socialism, there's an idea that therefore you can see what's happening in our own country, that the Green Party could become, embracing eco-socialism, it could become the umbrella electoral vehicle for the left in this country. It would be something alternative in a new way that's not associated with all of the problems of socialism and communism in the 20th century. So, to me, that's the vision under the embracing of eco-socialism, a form of socialism. Let it be, and let the left, and I go on the DSA list all the time and advocate for it, let the left come together under a single umbrella electoral vehicle instead of this sectarian. The left has had this problem with the segmentation of so many vehicles. So that's what some of us are advocating.
Yeah, because they can hear you. The Zoom people too.
Oh, yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah, gotcha. All right, please, I was trying to think if I had anything to add about eco-socialism, but I'll think about that later. But
So the way I still feel I'm a newer Green. I came about in 2016. Years ago, I've had my political evolution as time and as aged. So I got involved with Bernie Sanders, and then obviously when he stepped out, we stepped in. A lot of us got engaged and involved. So I still have an affinity and understanding for people that are just getting involved at any level, even if like right now we have the uncommitted vote. And I appreciate all people out there because this is a charged up, right in their lives, emotional tie-in. And that's what we need to embrace that, support them, but also say, hey, look, post your vote in whatever state you are. Where are we going next? Why can't we work together? Kind of like in the back, a couple years ago, there was this whole inside strategy. Let's reform, let's do the inside strategy. Why couldn't there have always been an inside and an outside? I think before my time, about 15 years ago, I know a lot of Greens worked with, in certain states, Working Families Party, and then there was some DSA candidates too. And then for some reason, there was this fragmentation. So I've been trying to advocate for years, so why don't you have some of those DSAers? And we have a lot of Greens across the US that are actually involved in DSA, and also obviously as Greens. So support the person that might be running in that race in the primary, and then you have somebody to back it up, and you also have an outside approach. There should be a short-term and long-term approach to this, but we're not involved. We're in all these actions. A lot of Greens are actually involved with a lot of ranked choice voting organizations across the country, trying to get that movement going too. So I just feel as a regular, everyday person, you need to just embrace and be open to everybody and just have the ability to recognize that you need to focus on both ends of the tape. And I wish in New Jersey some more people that would start to realize that this whole end the line and the ballot line, all these people fighting for this, they're only fighting to end it for the primary. As soon as you bring up the general election ballot, oh no, we're not fighting for that. All these motions for years, we've been nicely just reaching out to these people to say, hey, look, why aren't you including all the independent, unaffiliated candidates that ran for office too? And then you would have a stronger case. So now, because this was wedged through recently, now we're going to have to step up and file our own lawsuit instead of working together as a collective. That's the problem I have, is why are so many people, and I'll ask you, you might have some contacts in this tri-state area, why are we only focusing on that end and not the whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can see value in both of those strategies that you're talking about primaries, third-party efforts. I mean, the sort of downer insight here is that right now the electoral left in the United States is pretty weak, in general, right? Like that they have certainly you look at what happened in 2020 and since then, and I think the combined number of people who are often involved in these efforts is certainly lower than I'd like, obviously, but so I think that like sometimes people spend a lot of time like getting mad at each other for not pursuing the strategies that sort of seem best to them in a way that I think sometimes misses the point that it's like this is not, nothing that anybody's doing right now, right, is on the verge of like overtaking Republicans and centrist Democrats and achieving power and doing all that stuff.
Except for the Green 13.
Except them. They're all from your lips, like that would, that'd be, all 13 of those people won. It'd be an amazing world. I'd love to live in it, right? Like, I think, I think that right now, I think given that our enemies are much more powerful than we are, right? I think some ecumenicism about the different strategies that different people are trying to pursue, and that that might bear fruit is generally good. Like I think people, I hope this is responsive to what you're trying to say here, right? Tell me if it's not. But like, I think that, like the lawsuit that you're mentioning, I think doing the broader version, I mean, just from your description of it, that makes sense to me, right? But like, but I think that people sort of oftentimes get very focused on the behavior of like individual voters, right? Like, why are you doing this thing and not this thing, as they're trying to navigate the choices that are, made available by the current system. And, I worry that often that's a very individualistic approach, right? That, that we're sort of, whether it's like, I don't know, I can't believe that you voted for Jill Stein or whoever, that's, Trump won, or whether it's, I can't believe that you sucked it up in your swing state or whatever, voted for Biden because of this or that lesser evil calculation. People are going to make the calculations they're going to make as individual voters. I think that the job, right, is to, find ways of inspiring larger numbers of people to do what you want, right? And so I think maybe going back to the previous question about eco-socialism, right? That like if you can find ways to make that both appealing in the abstract, but also like, can find ways to make that feel like something that really might happen, right? Like I think that's the big thing, because I think that's the big obstacle right now. I think more than anything is that there are lots of things that we can all say, the left can say, about all these things that we want to do that sort of sound nice to most people, but their whole experience of politics is that very little changes for the better, no matter what politicians say. And so these things just don't sound like they're really going to happen, right? Like this is, in the 2020 primaries, all of the states that, they were still competitive, right? All the states that Joe Biden won, except South Carolina, a very conservative electorate, but all the other ones, right? Most people said in exit polls, the Democratic primaries, they supported Medicare for all, which Biden said he would veto if it crossed his desk. So why is that? Are they just stupid? Are they inconsistent? I don't think so. I think that they might think it sounds nice, but they don't really believe it's going to happen, right? And so they're not going to vote on it. And I think that this is why, right? Like in terms of like a slogan like eco-socialism. Think, okay, look, obviously if we want to avoid climate catastrophe, right? We obviously need much better environmental policies, and and tied to that, I obviously care about socialism. So if that's what eco-socialism means, I'm for it. But I think the real thing is to sort of present a vivid enough vision of that people can imagine it actually happening, and then do the even harder thing, which is to start to put some points on the board by actually getting policies passed that at least point us in that direction, so people have some kind of confidence that sooner or later we're actually going to get there.
Then we have Madeline Hoffman. She has a question. Madeline, can you hear us? I see your hand.
Yes, I can. I apologize for the background noise. It's pouring rain where I am here in Colombia, so I hope can you hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you, Madeline.
Okay, so my question is, rather than talk about how much power the Democrats and the Republicans have, why don't we talk about how they are terribly vulnerable right now, and there's an opportunity for independent political movement and an independent political party to make up some ground, to progress, to build a movement, to challenge them because of their vulnerabilities. Do you see that as possible right now? Ben, do you see where there are vulnerabilities in the two major parties, mainstream parties? That they are losing the support. Biden's losing support right and left from young people, from Arabs, from Muslims who voted for him in 2020. And Trump is in court. There are so many people who are disenchanted with him. Is this not a moment to push forward our independent agenda? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, look. hope so. I'm not here to tell anybody what's not going to work, right? I don't think I have any better insight about that than anybody. Oh, sorry. Good?
Good.
Okay. I don't have knowledge about that than any of the rest of you do, don't. Your guess is as good as mine. But God, I hope so. Right? Like, I would love that. Like, I think that, again, any of those, the question, question or two ago, right? About pursuing different strategies. Like, I'm all for, if it's not too corny an analogy, right? I'm all for scattering a number of seeds in a number of different places and seeing what pays off, right? Like, and yeah, if the demoralization with Biden led, like, for tons of people to, voting for independent candidates rather than just sitting at home, getting checked out of politics, I mean, that would obviously be better. But yeah, this is why I kind of said at the beginning, right? I was kind of thinking about how to sort of best use my time with you guys, right? I'm not going to like lecture anybody here about what will or won't work in electoral strategy, right? Because how do I know? Right? Let's
I got one more.
yeah, but I do want to think about like what all of us maybe could be doing better to sort of think harder about long-term goals. But yeah, let's get to one more.
Here you go.
No, I didn't see that. All right. Real quick.
Yeah.
To me, I see a lot of our problem on the left has to do with, in a sense, quote-unquote infrastructure, where our message is stepped on over and over and over again, because those that are reporting the message, if you will, are owned by ones who are suppressing the people themselves. And my question to you is, what step do you think we could take so that the message of the rest of us, the rest of a large portion of the country, can be heard, as opposed to the corporate message that we get stuffed down our throat every single day? Okay, because there are certain things, my personal belief, there are certain human rights that people have: a roof over your head, food on the table, the right to believe whatever you want to believe, etc., and live your lifestyle the way you want to live. And all of those under capitalism are squashed. And I just wanted to ask you about that.
Sure. So I have two versions of the answer to this. There's a 3-word version, and there's the slightly longer version. So the slightly longer version is that I think in the past, when the kind of issue that you're talking about has been at least partially overcome in some kind of successful way, a lot of that is about sort of the kind of organizations in workplaces and communities that can do person-to-person messaging rather than everybody all at once. And I think the importance of that really can't be overstated, right? I think it's too easy. Everybody here is already several steps past most people who share their opinions, because they're actually doing things like going to meetings in physical space, which sadly most people who agree with all of us on all those issues that you just mentioned aren't doing right now, right? And I think that if you have, like I was sort of alluding to at the beginning of the talk, workers' organizations, people's organizations that can spread that kind of person-to-person messaging, I think there's really no substitute for that. That said, especially if this is the last question, I've got to give my 3-word answer too. So you asked, how do we overcome the domination of corporate media, and all the propaganda we're seeing, right? I just had a wonderful discussion yesterday. When I did that teach-in with a bunch of very earnest Princeton students, lots of whom were Jewish, none of whom seemed to love Hamas. You would not know these things from cable news. And it was wonderful. And the disconnect between that and what you see on there is horrifying, right? The way these people are being demonized. So, as I said, I think the more complicated and fuller answer to how do we overcome that problem is the one I just gave. But I feel duty bound to give the 3-word answer, which is subscribe to Jacobin.
Lunch is being served in the back. You can go grab and eat and enjoy. I don't know what's going on outside. It's raining, not raining. Supposedly down the street there's going on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll leave it running.
135, yeah. Oh, you got this. In your hand?
I'm just gonna. Here's your mic stand. Mics and both stands. Yeah, we'll have that.
One of Earl Grey's most famous quotes of qualifications of mine.
What is the mic holder?
He's gonna leave the live stream running.
Yeah.
Capitalism, the human race.
Tell me what you think I should do.
Like
Mike Kelly. Yeah, you Mike Kelly? Yeah.
yeah.
Okey-doke.
It's a heart. Did you see my darling? I saw newborn baby. I saw highway. I saw black friend. I saw a room full of men. A white light. Did you meet my blue eyes? Who did you meet, my darling, your heart? A very young man. A very young. My very young child. It's a heart. It's a heart. It's a heart. What do you do now? I'm going back.
For those of you who don't know, our entertainment and lunch here, that's longtime Green Margie McWilliams, 2002, and you are interested, there's a tip jar up on the front desk, so please notice that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Bob Dylan, Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. I shortened it a little because I'm working a lot in. I really enjoy being here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Margie. That's one of Tom's favorite songs, so let's hear it. Right? You got it.
Love is but a song you sing. Here's the way we die. You can make a mountain, or make the angels cry. Oh, the burden, and you come. Surely when the one waiting in the crowd, come on. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. All the keys, all in you. Just one key unlocks them. Come on, people. Come on, people. Blackbirds in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. You were only waiting for this moment to rise. Blackbirds in the dead of night, take these sunken eyes and learn to see. We're only waiting for this moment. Into the light of the cold. Blackbird. Because all
And we've got to love ourselves back to the heart. And can I walk beside you? I have come here to lose the small, to be a home in something to and maybe it's just the time of year, or maybe it's the time of night.
but your life's for the road. We are stars. We are gold. We've got to get ourselves. By the time we got to Woodstock, we were half. And celebrate. And I dreamed I saw the bombers riding shotgun in the sky. But the flag above our nation, we are strong. We are stars, million heroes, caught in the devil's mind, and we've got to get ourselves back to God.
Thank you.
And she wasn't even there.
She wasn't?
She didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
And she wrote the end.
But she still wrote us a great song.
Yeah.
Indeed.
There's a theater up in Deal called Axelrod.
Uh-huh.
My wife and I went 2 weeks ago to see a Joni. There's a Joni tribute band.
Yeah.
They Woodstock and it was Deal. It was great. So everybody, they danced.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it too. I don't think people heard her version enough, but it's
Well, this band, even the rock version, they killed it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, good for you.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, wood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking of highway, that forest to Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for candy. I roamed and I rambled from shining in, and I was strolling, waving, and the dust clouds rolling. This land was made for candy. As I was walking, sign said, and on the other side it didn't say no. In the squares of the city, people, you really often. This land is mine. Gulf Stream waters. This land was mine. This land was made for you and me. The sheep sing on the hill, cows milk. Now is the time for a child. On the moon, he'll cry for, and if it's a boy, he will carry the boy. Sang the call on the cradle. And if it should be that this baby is gone, then we might prepare. Rings on her fingers and bells on her child. Sang the call somebody's baby was born. The crow on the cradle, the white on the brow. Somebody's baby was born. Sang the crow on the cradle. Give me my gun, and I'll shoot that bird dead. Little darling, slowly runs out.
much, but I love it. I'm going to do it fast. I can blow my voice out. But this is called Carry On.
Did we lose our Zoom crew?
Yeah, we did well. Folks, if there's anyone here who's a New Jersey resident and would like to sign the petition for our Senate candidate, Christina Calillo, there's a petition back near the computer on the entry desk. If you haven't signed already, please sign. We also have a petition for presidential candidate, and if you live in this area, Congressional District 4, you can sign my petition. We're going to get ready now to everybody drink your water, clear your mouth if you're a green 13 person, because you're going to get up here and talk in a minute. All right? We're going to move on to the next part of the program. We're going to start with, but we switched because we were late. So we're going to start introducing our Green 13 candidates. As you know, there are 12 congressional districts in New Jersey. We've got one that we're hanging on, but you know what? We're not going to wait much longer. Somebody to fill that one. So it'll be the 12 congressional districts plus our senatorial candidate. And Christina, do you prefer to go first or last? Yeah, you. Who else is running for Senate? Oh, you're going to do last? All right. Well, yeah, everybody come up and I'll just pass the microphone down. We can actually line up in district order if we want. Where's the green 13?
Right here. Come on.
All right.
Green 13.
Come on. There is a tip jar on the table. Okay, so Congressional District 1, she's not feeling well. I just spoke to her on the phone. So I'll say a few words for her. So Congressional District 2, and Congressional District 3, and Congressional District 4, and 5 is you, and 6 is, Herb is not zooming, so, okay. 7.
Andrew.
Andrew is finishing his burger.
Ah.
Oh, okay. 8, wait a minute, 8, how do you know? 9 is, I know who 10 is. Why am I blanking on 9? Who's 9? Oh, there you go. 9, 10, 11, and that's everybody. We're just missing Herb in 6 and Robin in 1. And Robin, District 1. She's been a member of, what? You got something?
Herb's back.
Oh, Herb is back. Wonderful. All right.
So real quick.
Okay, hold on. We're going to get a quick statement from Jason, who's the campaign manager for Jill Stein.
Let me pin you up here.
And then we're going to roll in.
All right, Jason, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Thank you for posting. I know it's a little crazy with Zoom today, but welcome to Green Party.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Sorry, the scheduling part of the campaign didn't get the invitation. That usually doesn't happen, but happy to be here right now to represent. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. So Jill is doing a live event in Maine right now, so she was unavailable. She's been traveling all morning, so she wasn't going to be able to join it anyway. So I'm happy to represent the campaign. Want you all to know that we look forward to New Jersey collecting the 800 signatures they need to get the Green Party on the ballots. And also want to highlight that our really biggest hurdle in the campaign right now is New York State, and make a deal that anybody can get to New York. But on that note, we have committed $250,000 to paid petitioning in New York right now. We had a wonderful live stream fundraiser with Professor Jeffrey Sachs from Columbia University. He has an endorsing campaign. We did that fundraiser last night, set a goal of $45,000 to raise, and we hit that goal, and we are extremely excited about it. And all of that money goes directly into paid petitioning in New York, because if we can get on the ballot in New York, that will clear the way for us to get on the other really two tough states that are ahead of us, which are Indiana and Illinois. And so we're very optimistic that our 50-state strategy is on track right now. Manager just got off of a 10-day road trip where we visited Atlanta, New York, and then we went to the Midwest and visited the Missouri Greens from St. Louis through Kansas City, did an event at Kansas University in Lawrence, Kansas, and then went up and met with the community up in Omaha. All of those states are petitioning right now, actively, and so, you know, we are going wherever we can to support, and, you know, if you guys would like to get Jill out to New Jersey to say hi, I think we can manage that. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what New Jersey's due date is, because, you know, Rick Glass, and he manages all of that stuff. But any questions for the campaign? We're just really thrilled at where we are at this point in the game.
Yeah, New Jersey's July 29th.
Okay. Any questions for the Stein
July
campaign?
29th.
We got a nice bit of time to get that done.
Yep.
Great. Thanks for coming on, Jason. We'll have the announcement around 3:15 tonight.
And Jason, you're running somewhere too, aren't you?
Yep.
Say again?
You're running.
You're running.
Washington 2nd District. I actually filed for my seat on Monday, and you know, with all humility, I will say that my race is the best chance in the country for the Green Party to get a member of Congress. I'm running against a not too well liked incumbent who's been there for 13 years. His biggest funder last year was APAC. His biggest funders historically are the War Machine and the fossil fuel industry. And he's somebody who is in the top 15% of Democrats in terms of conservative voting record. He's been behind up to it. Hit me up on Twitter. All of my socials are at Call for Congress, so it's very easy to find me. And yeah, as we head towards November, let's make sure we're all collaborating. And I think, you know, one of the most exciting points about this campaign this year and being on the state everywhere is that there is such momentum behind an anti-genocide movement right now that us being the one that is going to be clearly the most widespread and the strongest across the nation, we have a really good chance of retaining a lot of ballot lines for 2028. You know, and this is the first election of my lifetime where I really think the door is open, you know, as small as it may be, that the light is there, that we could actually win the whole thing. You know, that's really not pie in the sky, although it's obviously a massive uphill climb. So we're excited, we're very enthused that we can have some big wins along the way, and hopefully we can lift everybody up.
And we appreciate you being here and your race. Everybody out there can see and decide to support their state party, get engaged, get involved, get out petitioning, donate if you can, whatever you can do to help. So let's do it.
Team effort, guys. Thank you.
And as I mentioned, Robin, she was on earlier, but I called her. She's not feeling well. She's running in Congressional District 1, which is Donald Norcross, who's the brother of the political boss who runs the state of New Jersey. And she's going to run a good campaign up in Camden County. I think there's a couple towns in Gloucester County that is also included there.
Burlington also, I think there's...
Is it Burlington? Yeah. But she's ready to go. I was with her a couple weeks ago. In one morning, we got 130 signatures. She's well on her way. You need 100 to be on the ballot, but we're aiming for 150 to 200, all of us. 150 to 200 is the goal.
200.
Yeah. We've been challenged in the past and we've won. I think when you get 200, the odds of them challenging are probably much lower, so that's why we're going for a number like that. Anyway, in District 2, I will hand the microphone to our District 2 candidate here, Tom Canavo, my bud.
Hey, how are you? Cumberland, Salem, part of Gloucester, and part of Ocean County. I actually grew up in Salem County, so I'm very familiar with the district. I worked in all three branches of government while I lived in that district. I'm a retired prosecutor and attorney. I've been a Green since 2010. I'm currently the secretary of the Green Party of New Jersey. I'm also the chairman of the Green Party of Ocean County. And I'm a liaison for the Green Party of New Jersey to the New Jersey Universal Healthcare Coalition. And obviously that's one of my big issues is universal healthcare. The current pending Medicare for All bill, the national expanded and revised version of that, the Jayapal bill in the House. And I'll, of course, day one, I'll sign on to that bill and try to bring it up for a vote like it should have been brought up for a vote a while ago. I'll also be fighting for sustainable energy to fight climate change with the real Green New Deal, not this watered down stuff that even the squad is pushing. And of course, we'll all be stressing what's going on over in Palestine, and it's time to get rid of the waste of $1 trillion for war budget and put that money to good use for education, housing, healthcare, and things of that sort. that actually elevates the standard of living of people, as opposed to just making political points. And as they say in Congress, I'm going to yield the rest of my time to my esteemed colleague.
Yeah, what he said. I'm running in.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah.
No,
Steve Welser, I'm running District 3. It's crazy, my town. I've run, I worked for the state judiciary for my career, and when you do that, you're not allowed to run for political office. So I felt badly for all those years I was encouraging other Greens to run, and I couldn't run. But as soon as I retired, I started to run every year. And my town has been in District 4, District 12, but now we're in District 3. The congressman has been Andy Kim, so he wants to bump himself up to become the senator now. He won't, because our Christine is going to obviously beat him. But we'll be colleagues in Washington. I'm thrilled to be running with all the synergy of this full slate of candidates. And then I want to say this in particular. We need to get, the threshold is 100 signatures to get on the ballot. So, we all ought to get 200, and then they won't dare challenge us. I mean, they'd get laughed out of court and it would look bad in the press if they were to go and challenge people who got double the number of signatures. So we should try to do that, but it's not hard to do. And so one thing that I want to say is everybody who's a Green, one thing about the Green Party, when they criticize us, they say, you run these interesting races for president and at the high level and everything, but you don't run enough down ballot races. So I just want to encourage, for 100 signatures or 200 signatures, it's really not hard to do. And so people who identify with the Green Party, they're Greens at heart, consider going out and running. Let's get as many Green candidates as we can, all up and down the ballot, from the most local to the great Jill Stein, hopefully presidential campaign this year.
Thank you. Know me, Barry Bender. I'm running Congressional District 4. I'm running against a congressman who's been in Congress over 40 years. They gerrymandered the district. They moved Steve out of 4 into 3 to make it friendly for Andy Kim, and they moved Ocean County, which was already very friendly for Chris Smith, into that district. But as far as I'm concerned,
We're rotating.
Oh, we're rotating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're moving over here. Okay. Chris Smith has been in Congress over 40 years. His ideas, his views are outdated. They may apply to some people here in Ocean County, but he doesn't represent all the people. If you look at his platform, a woman's right to her own body is something that's completely foreign to him, and we need to make him aware that there are people here in the 4th Congressional District that feel contrary to that position. In my opinion, he inflicts his religious beliefs on other people, which I think is one of the worst things that anyone can do to anyone else. A person's beliefs is a person's beliefs. They may not be yours, but they have the right to their beliefs. As far as environmental, he's nowhere on the environment whatsoever. He is, I'll give him credit, when it comes to healthcare, not single-payer healthcare, but making sure monies are allocated for healthcare. He's not bad on that, but there's so many other things that he's actually terrible on that we're going to make a lot of noise. We're going to get out there. This could be the year. I mean, I've seen a lot of good candidates in various parties run against him, and they've been crushed. I'm not going to get crushed. To get out there. what we stand for and what they stand for. And I'm sorry, we don't stand for having people standing online to get food to have 200-pound bombs get dropped on their head, okay? We definitely don't stand for that.
Let me pin you after you.
Yeah, I'll let Robin go.
She's muted.
You're muted, Robin.
Mute.
I'm here.
There we are.
Okay. Hey, you got the floor, Robin.
Can you hear me?
Floor. Introduce yourself.
Hold on a second. I'm having all sorts of technical issues.
No, we hear you.
Okay. Well, should I say something?
Yes.
Robin Brownfield. I am running for Congress in Congressional District 1. That is the district where Donald Norcross is the current congressman. In Norcross's case, he was initially appointed to that position because the previous congressman was caught on investment and so forth. So it was a very convenient way to stick in the brother of one of the most powerful power brokers in the state into Congress. He is a recipient, Donald Norcross is, hold on, a recipient of, I'm sorry, kickback money and funding from a number of military contractors. He is, and if you look at his voting record, it reflects his donors completely. There is this notion that he's very strong with unions. He's very strong with one or two unions that are the unions for the military contractors. But in terms of workers' rights and so forth, he gives lip service, but you don't protect workers' rights and undermine the First Amendment at the same time, which is what something that Donald Norcross is doing. He supported the TikTok bill. He supported HR, what is it, 1060 or whatever, defining everything that we're doing as anti-Semitism, basically. I decided to run against him after the group South Jersey for Gaza tried to run a candidate against him in the Democratic primaries, but her petition was essentially rejected, so she didn't make it onto the ballot. So we had no voice calling for a ceasefire in Gaza in this election. So that's when I volunteered to be the candidate in CD1. Funding to Israel and facilitating genocide and ending military expansion and funding to other proxy wars for the U.S. I would be opposing that in favor of using that money to do things like enact Medicare for All, a Green New Deal, eliminate student debt, all the things that people need to survive, which is something that the current Congress is not doing. So that's me.
since I started organizing months ago. And thank you so much for stepping up and running. The courage there, it does take a lot of toll and time, so we hope anybody watching this in South Jersey can reach out to Robin's campaign and help her capture signatures and also help her form her campaign team. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Robin.
Yes. CD5.
Hello everybody, my name is Bo Forte. I am running for Congress in New Jersey's 5th District. The incumbent there is Congressman Josh Gottheimer. I don't know how many people here know him, I'm sure you do now. He's become pretty notorious. I have a personal history with Josh, but I also have issues with Josh that run deeper than that. I decided to run, and the last straw for me was, I always feel like universal health care in some form or fashion needs to be on the ballot. Unfortunately with Josh, it is not. I'm sure that whoever wins the Republican primary will not bring it to the table. So I also feel that Josh is one of the most dangerous elected officials in the country right now, quietly. He's got about 17 million last I saw in his coffers. He is vehemently anti-free speech. He takes his own constituents to court, charges them with petty crimes, and then never shows up, and the cases get dismissed. That happened to me. There's stories to tell about Josh, and they'll come out. As we get rolling, I really believe that there is momentum to take this guy down. I think he's looking at the governor's mansion a little too early because he never saw this coming. So once we really get our story out and we get the people we need to help us, we're going to do something pretty historic in New Jersey's 5th District. So I'm glad to be among friends, and thank you for listening.
All right. All right, welcome Herb.
Thanks, Greg. It's good to be here with everyone in my Zoom. I'll be running in CD6. The incumbent is Frank Pallone. Pallone has been in Congress for 36 years now. He has a reputation for being good on the environment and good on health care, but what that really means is that he takes a lot of money from people who really have no interest in pushing forward the Green New Deal or Medicare for all. And he acts a bit more like a gatekeeper to keep these things from happening. That's my opinion. I got started in politics back in 2006 when I discovered that I could run for Congress with only 100 petition signatures. So I ran against Frank Pallone both in 2006 and 2008 as an independent candidate. Later on, when Bernie ran, I became active again. I actually joined the Democratic Party. I was Democratic committeeman in Piscataway, and I actually ran for the Democratic chairmanship of Middlesex County. Mostly, I've run also for county commissioner, I run for county clerk, and I run because people need to run. We need to have people running for offices in order to inspire other people to run. And that's the main reason I got involved in politics. And Frank Pallone, obviously, his actions have been unconscionable with respect to Gaza. He's voting for the continued billions of dollars in weaponry to Israel, despite the fact that tens of thousands of people and children have been killed. So that's why I'm here. I'm just getting started on our campaign now. We just made a decision in the last week or so to join, and again, this is going to be fun. I think, you know, with all of us banding together and going after these incumbents, it's going to be something to behold. So I'm glad to be here. Happy to be part of this.
Thanks, Herb. Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Black. I am running in District 7. A little about myself. I am actually a transplant in Jersey. I grew up in Ohio, very rural, very Republican. moved out here, been here for like 20 years. Consider Jersey my home. My district covers literally fields in Sussex County all the way down to rural cities. By Elizabeth, decided to run maybe like 6 weeks ago because I just couldn't take it anymore. I kept complaining about the government for years and years, and everybody tells me, don't complain, go do something. Well, I decided to do something finally. The core of the Green Party and then some. I want to fix the housing issue. No one should be homeless. We're the richest country in the world. It's all here. It's just greed. All greed. Food, everybody should be fed. We pay farmers just to throw out food. Like, it doesn't even make it into market. They grow it, throw it in the garbage, government pays for it while people starve. And it's unacceptable. I couldn't take it anymore. Now, our military complex, that just needs to end. We have 285 bases around the world.
700.
Oh, 700?
750.
Wow, I didn't even think it was that many. What are we protecting? We're not protecting our borders. It's someone else's country. There's no reason to be there. Again, it's just greed. We're protecting resources, and that's it. Pointing guns at people and saying, do what we tell you or else. And it needs to end. We need to fix America. We don't need to fix the country. We're the bad guy.
On socials, how can everybody follow your campaign?
Most of I'm on all the platforms, TikTok, Instagram. Everything is at Andrew Black for Congress for the most part. I have some paperwork back there if you would like actual logos and stuff. Ask me questions. I have a website, Andrew Black for House of Representatives.org, I believe it is. And at the moment, I'm at 75 signatures, so I'm pretty close to at least 50. I'm sick of how they've been treating my generation, and we need a change. We, in the current government, the younger generations have no hope. That's it. They have no hope. The world is dying. The government doesn't care. The police are cracking down on our children just for not agreeing with them, and it all needs to end.
CDA candidate?
Well, he can introduce himself.
Oh, I thought you were going to...
Actually, you're going to get vetted today. You know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Activism runs for. We're going to do party stuff.
That's it. That's at the end.
Vet candidates.
Yes.
All the good stuff.
Absolutely. You're up.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Christian Robbins. You can call me CJ. I'm running for the 8th District. I definitely getting into this more often. Why I'm here is a reverberation of what everyone else has been saying. It's the system has been doing nothing but silencing its own democracy. It's not a democracy. This two-party system does not really allow us to be us, and it's gone crazy with all the different ways it wishes to express itself through a lot of, honestly, sinful ways. Through control, through manipulation, through power. There is no sense of democracy when money controls our own representatives. And I've been feeling like I've been waiting for this all my life. The opportunity to get to this place and then start making an impact where it matters the most. Not as where I currently am making my living, but in a place where we can actually make a real difference in the minds and hearts of people who are trying to make it work in a system that does not care for them. It is. I recently went to a charity event for my company, and the veterans are completely tossed aside. Like, you want to talk about the food, as my other colleague mentioned, we treat our own troops like that. We pay them to be useless, and then we throw them out, and we don't see them as another human being. And that truly has to end. The humanity has to come back to a country that wants to be what it says it is, and it's failing drastically, and it has its inception. We made our country born off of basically being a rageful teenager at our British father, trying to make our own way in a new country, take away all their stuff, and we think it has no trail back into how we're trying to become something new. We have to do a cleansing of our actual American spirit, and that's only going to happen if we break our old cycles, which is this two-party system. It's not. It's basically where I'm starting. I've heard everything else these people said, and what's going to be said, whatever comes from the heart truly. Not for power, not for greed, not for any of those things. So that's why I run for the 8th District and hope to make a long, lengthy career making a better world.
Robert Menendez Jr.
The crucial issue that motivated me to okay, and when I saw that there was no option to vote against genocide, I decided that I would step up and be that option. Bill Pascrell, interestingly, takes more money in Congress than anybody else when it comes to police, and yet he represents Patterson, a police department that is extremely corrupt, one of the most corrupt in the country, and subsequently the entire world. When you're taking more money than Republicans from the police, that is what it looks like. And in today's day and age, the contradictions of capitalism are being put on full display. We are seeing death and destruction across the world, especially in Palestine and Gaza, and my heart broke in the end of 2023 and going into 2024, and I knew that this was only a tiny sliver of what Palestinian people are experiencing when their homes and their children are being destroyed. And this is not okay. And I have a sign. Poverty is the leading cause of death, and poverty is we need to stop serving profits and start serving people, universal health care, universal education, and end the police state, reform the prison system, and drug use should not be criminal. Thank you.
The candidate I'm going to be voting for in my district, and I'm so happy to have a candidate that is fighting for all these causes. Bill Pascrell, for those that aren't aware, is one of the longest serving congressmen, so it's time to send him on his retirement package nicely. And there's a lot of people that are watching the stream nationally, statewide. There's a candidate primarying Pascrell, and I respect him. He's a good gentleman. But I want to let everybody know, don't worry, you've got somebody to vote for in November that stands on all the issues that that candidate may not win and pass through. So now, hopefully those people are going to be energized and aggravated and angry and vote for Ben and support Ben's campaign. All right.
congressional district that contains cities such as Newark, West Orange, Verona, Marshall, Montclair, Linden, Roosevelt Park, so many. I believe it's 16 towns that, which is absolutely amazing. I feel so honored that the Green Party even chose me to represent them in a race. And when I started doing this, I was actually in between being a Democrat and an independent. No one yell at me. Political decisions and political beliefs and understood a lot. And when it comes to, the two-party system, I looked at it and I was like, I can't do any of this. I don't believe in what either party stands for. And both parties have become so corrupt in our history over so little time, so fast. And that made me want to take a stand. I realized that I could not live in a country where people weren't equal, where everyone was treated with respect, where we saw more than what our political beliefs were. I want to take us back to that time. That's one of my biggest things, is to stop that division that has endured us, that we have taken on throughout the last 8 years. Since 2016, we've had a complete division, and even before then, it started to divide, and I don't want that anymore. I want to completely end the division, because I'll be deep. I'm a very deep person. Everyone will get to know that. I like to make my presence known in a room. But I get really emotional at the fact of, even running for the Green Party. So I do truly appreciate you guys even endorsing me. It was such a big deal. When I first started my campaign, I had nothing. So I do want to thank Jay, my campaign manager, who has been helping me do this. But things are picking up, and I also want to thank my parents, my mom, my dad, they're watching. But thank you. Thank you guys so much. And I hope to represent this well in November, and hopefully the presidency.
John, how do we find you?
Oh! So my TikTok is John for Congress, number 4, not 4. And what are my other socials? That's such a good question. John S. for House of Rep. You can find that on Instagram. I have another account. TikTok. I have 2 accounts on TikTok. I'm trying to work both. And YouTube. I just started a YouTube channel, John Carlos Serrano, or John Serrano for Congress. And yeah, I have so many. Just check out my link tree.
Hello everyone, my name is Lily Benavides. I represent Congressional District 11. That's basically North Jersey. And I have to read my statement because I forget half of that when I get nervous. I'm sorry. Okay, I represent more than 50 towns, some in Essex County, Passaic County, most of Morris County. I became a Green in 2016. But I was following the party some years ago when I changed my affiliation to independent. Why am I running for Congress under the Green Party? I'd say, why not? Yeah. For more than 20 years. In New Hampshire, that's when I started doing the activism. I joined some immigrant rights groups. Because I realized that as an immigrant I wasn't isolated, and I found all the similarities and struggles that I had with everyone else. I volunteer with different immigrant organizations throughout the years, helping members of the community with daily life stuff like language barriers. I did mutual aid for a couple of years during the pandemic. I formed a disability committee in town, which is temporarily
and is suspended, I say, because the administration, when it changed, they don't want to help us with the committee, so we are going to get an ordinance for that. By the way, I formed this committee because I am on disability, and unfortunately sometimes we see what's lacking out there when we have an issue, right? Okay, as an immigrant, I know well the struggles of being a newcomer. I try to help people when they come with things that they need. And even 30 years later, I still struggle with living here. People don't leave their countries just because. Displacement has a lot to do with our foreign policies that have caused environmental damage, being the U.S. military the biggest contaminant in the world, and the damage to other countries around the world, which has caused a chain of effects: poverty, violence, homelessness, and the biggest effect of all is the climate change, for which we are starting to see the consequences just now. On top of that, we have, or I would say we don't have, affordable housing, free healthcare, free education, a livable minimum wage, a fair immigration system, and the list go on. We instead have grown our military spending for years, for wars and genocides, and have been slowly stripping the rights of our citizens. When I say citizens, please note anyone that's living in this country. But in the last year, U.S. has become the worst of the worst. We are giving our money away to enable genocides all over the world in the name of globalization, of progress. Everything evolves about money and oil. The world as we know is getting destroyed. It's time to take a drastic move in our lives and vote with our conscience. Think about all the children of the world and the future they are going to have if we don't make a change right now. Coming. The Green Party pillars are all about life and living with dignity. Vote for us, the Green 13 here, and our presidential candidate in November. Lastly, but not least, two things that are always in my heart: Palestine, free Palestine, and no human being is illegal. Facebook and Instagram, Lily Benavides, number 4, Congress. TikTok and Twitter, Lily, number 4, Congress. Thank you.
Who are you running against?
Cheryl, which is
Mickey.
Mikey, which is in her 3rd term, and she's old. Every single time. And she supports genocide. That would be more than enough to not vote for her. So I'm here, vote for me, please.
Wonderful team, Bess, has helped me put together the speech. Okay. Hi everyone, I am Christina Mira Khalil, running for U.S. Senate for the New Jersey Green Party. I'm here to fight against corruption and to bring an end to the political duopoly that enables it. Democrat or Republican, which is the lesser evil? I say, if they're both evil, then so is that question. We didn't build this country to subject our citizens to any level of evil. We built this country to free them from it. Democracy and freedom was our founding fathers' unifying call. But I ask you, can you see any freedom or democracy in the slave workers that bring profits to our private prison system? Is there any freedom or democracy in the pro-Palestinian students in encampments that are currently being raided and violently arrested for trying to defend the lives of the people that our government is helping to annihilate? Is there any financial freedom for the 78% of Americans that live paycheck to paycheck? The Founding Fathers set the standard, It is up to us to ensure that promised freedom is extended to all of us, not just the privileged. It is something you have to keep fighting for every day. That's why I'm running for office. You know that I started this campaign as a Democrat. And thank you, Renee, for guiding me. She is the one who helped me get into the Green Party. I wanted to unseat Bob Menendez, who is so corrupt the Democrats eventually did disown him. But when I was with the Dems, they weren't interested in holding Menendez accountable. What they told me was that if I wanted to become a senator, I would have to abandon my most progressive policies. They told me that there was an unspoken waiting list of friends and financial backers who were owed candidacy over me. Then I had to pay my dues and wait for my turn, be a team player. But I didn't come here to provide progressive cover to a party that was perfectly happy to hide Menendez's scandal until the media made it impossible for them to continue doing so. I came here to root out the bad apples like him. So I found out the hard way that bad apples come from rotten trees. So I decided it was time I worked with my green thumb. Start my campaign with practically nothing. This community of real hardworking citizens came to my rescue when the establishment failed me. They understand that the best way to combat corruption is to build each other up through community and grassroots activism. With the Greens, I don't have to compromise my most important values. I can fight for a free Palestine, universal health care, LGBTQ+ rights, and a Green New Deal, openly and without the censorship of corporate PAC donors. It means everything to me as a Muslim first-generation Egyptian to be able to speak out for the 35,000 Palestinians martyred since October 7th. To fight for the 2.5 million Palestinians who are still struggling to find food and water. After 7 months of bombing and IOF violence in their police and barricaded tent camps. It means everything to me as a healthcare worker to be able to fight for everyone's right to accessible, quality healthcare. Healthcare is a human right. Social worker and substance abuse counselor to be able to fight for police reform, prison reform, and the introduction of trauma-informed social workers into the emergency response system. As a daughter of the foster care system that managed to work my way out of homelessness through a master's degree and into a decently paying job, it means absolutely everything to me to be able to fight for a livable minimum wage, a Green New Deal with government program jobs, and an end to student debt and a free higher education for all. I am tired of living in an America that promises an unattainable dream. I'm tired of watching talented, smart, and passionate young people wasted away in jobs that are on the verge of automation. I'm tired of watching potential artists, thinkers, writers, and inventors serve coffee to this country's elites while their dreams die on the vine. And I refuse to be silent while government-sanctioned corporations profit off the death of my people in Palestine and the death of my people in the streets of this country. And that's why I voted for U.S. HALIL. And if I do encourage everyone to reach out to help collect signatures. That is my main priority right now. I am going I want to travel. Well, next week I'll be reaching out to different candidates because I'll be working to collect signatures with them and try and get like 100, 200 goal a day for them. So if you guys would like to join us, please reach out through my website or through GPNJ or just text someone. Because we're a team, we can't get on the ballot without you guys, and we can't make the changes without you guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you, National. Guys for believing in me and giving me an opportunity. I was a complete stranger walking into the door, but you guys gave me a chance, didn't judge me, and I actually got my second grant from them, which put us over our $5,000 threshold, and we will be doing our FEC funding. Finally, and the goal is to actually get more funding and just are going, if you're interested in donating, is it's actually going to these candidates right here. It's going to our volunteers for the media team. It's going to build New Jersey Green Party. It's not just going to my candidacy. It's going to help everyone. We are a team. And we have to do this as a team.
Oh, we gotta get pictures, yeah. I always get yelled at for not.
Everybody, yeah, come on over to the center.
We gotta do it's Jill Stein's birthday. Is it? No, they're not on now.
So, no, we have is doing a collage of different videos saying happy birthday Jill Stein. I networked with them and spoke to them. They want to get all of us to say happy birthday to Jill Stein, and then they're going to add our videos into, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Let's do it now. Oh, yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Wanna do it now?
Yeah. let's
Okay.
do it now.
I'll do it on Barry's phone.
Here, you take the. And Robin's up there.
Guys, once more closed in.
Wait,
It's
you have to
good.
do it all day.
More closed.
Go ahead.
Madeline, I want to say thank you for helping me with my campaign and guiding me and being my mentor and my international coordinator. I didn't see you on for a second, so I didn't give you a shout out, but I couldn't do this without you.
Get close, over to the podium. Tom and Steve.
Okay, oh, I gotta go. 5.
Yeah, get in.
Yeah.
Or Steve.
All right, I think we're in. I'm putting the mic down.
Green turn.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna, I'll record it. So yeah, so everybody look over here.
Look at Craig.
And we're gonna do a
Happy
birthday, Jill Stein, right?
Tell us when.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday. No singing.
All right, one more. 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday.
What, do what? A happy birthday, Jill. Record us, because we're going to be sending it to Jill.
I just recorded it. Another one.